Ah, the 90s. Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, the move to CDs and DVDs, and of course, video games. And one of my favorite game genres of the era, the beat-em-ups. You had Streets of Rage, Double Dragon, Final Fight, Ninja Turtles, and many, many more different kinds. Growing up in a Nintendo house hit a lot of the great Sega titles that I absolutely would have loved as a kid. And now that I have the ability to go back and experience the Genesis and the Saturn libraries, I'm uncovering a whole new world of games that I didn't even realize existed. What do you get when you take a company like Treasure, known for games like Gunstar Heroes and Dynamite Headdy, and you have them create a beat-em-up with fighter and RPG elements? You get Guardian Heroes. Now, for anybody like me who missed out entirely on the Saturn's catalog, you are absolutely in for a treat here. Released in North America in April of 1996, Guardian Heroes presents the story of a group of characters on their quest to save the world. Okay, that's a little been there, done that, but what if I told you that there is an absolutely fully fleshed out story in this game? One where there's multiple paths with choices that dictate your playthrough story and ultimately decide the ending that you receive. What if you uncover more and flesh the story out further every time you take a new path? Or that as you play, you accumulate experience points that allow you to boost your character's stats and make yourself more and more powerful. Okay, now that we're all on the same page, let's talk a little bit about the guts of the game. The story is simple. 4 warriors find this sword and they're running from the king's guard who are attempting to take it back from them. Along the way, they learn the sword actually belonged to a once great warrior who's brought back from the dead and follows your commands. Even though most beat-em-ups play best with a friend as a couch co-op style game, this one gives you a partner to fight alongside with. You command this warrior and seek out the evil threatening the land from a particularly evil human wizard named Cannon, who wants to destroy the sky spirits. The story gets much more in-depth, but at the risk of spoiling it, we'll kind of just leave it there. Your undead pal, and a player too if you have one, rise up and head off to save the world. Ah, classic beat-em-up feelings. Right off the bat, you're introduced to 4 playable characters. You've got Han, a former royal knight who found this legendary sword and who can cast some basic magic. He's your fighter type guy. You've got Randy, a sorcerer with a pet rabbit familiar named Nando who's all about magic and speed. You've got Jinjiro, a ninja who's searching for this powerful sword, and Nicole, a healer, cleric type person who's mostly a support type character. But from this, you're quickly introduced to a plethora of other characters, all of which who have their own stories and reasons for crossing paths with the party. As I mentioned, as you progress through the game, you earn experience stat points in which you can slot into strength, which is your physical damage, vitality, HP, intelligence, the size and strength of spells, mental protection, MP and magic resist, agility, speed for physical and magical attacks, and luck, taking and giving damage, as well as Nicole's spells. Boosting these stats is crucial in your survival of the story, learning how your character works, and shoring up defenses, or maybe leaning into attacks. Those are your ideal paths here for your character creation. Speaking of paths, the story is broken up into stages and endings, and along your play, you're going to make choices that affect the story, and each time you make a choice, it changes the path that you're heading towards the ending. Of course, this type of design results in hours and hours of replayability. There's 30 stages in total, and the only way to see them all is to choose different options as you progress through the story. There's also 5 different endings, 7 technically if you include the fact that 2 of these endings have 2 different versions, and that further adds to the replayability of the game. Alright, so let's talk about how the game actually plays. It's got your stereotypical beat-em-up feel in that you move from the left to the right, and you defeat the enemies along the way, but not wanting to just be like any other beat-em-up, Treasure introduced a few different mechanics into the game to spice things up. Right off the bat, you're going to notice that there are 3 tracks or planes in each stage. There's a front, a middle, and a back. And you can move to these at will using your L or R button, or you can use the Y button to shift between them. This adds a layer of strategy to the game that you wouldn't have in other beat-em-ups, as it lets you move between these planes to get behind an enemy and shift planes back to get the drop on them. They also introduced a fighting move list, similar to that of like a fighter type game, to each character. Down to forward and attack would cause Han to run forward and slam into an enemy, or that same moveset with Randy causes him to use his Wall of Wind staff. And while these movesets aren't overly complicated, they will take a little bit of time to learn, as you're not going to be able to just button mash your way through this game. Treasure Focus, the art style in this game, is a 2D game with 3D elements in an era when polygons and 3D was hitting the world by force. I have to applaud this decision because the game is absolutely gorgeous. The old school anime art style is beautiful, and the stages are very, very well designed. It's got this tendency to really draw you into the scene. The music is masterfully done. It's composed by Naso Suzuki and Norio Hanzawa. Each track is like this mashup of like jazz and electric fusion, and it keeps you pumped the whole way through. Since the original launch in 1996, the game actually received a couple of revisions since the days of the Saturn, and it was released as Advance Guardian Heroes for the Game Boy Advance in 2004, and then they released it again for the Xbox 360 in 2011, which I'm told you can still get a copy for if you have an Xbox. However, for those of you who want to experience the Sega Saturn's hits, this one is definitely one that you do not want to pass on. My only regret is not playing it sooner. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to support the channel, I'd love and appreciate it if you click that subscribe button down below. Tell me about your favorite Sega games in the comments. It's very likely I've never played them before, or honestly even heard of them. I'd love an opportunity to check them out and possibly make more videos like this one. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for watching.